Okay, students, we are continuing with our chapter number 13, the use and abuse of drugs. In today's lesson, we will see the type of drugs of abuse and their common side effects. We will also go into detail effects of heroin on health and on the society. Then we will go through cigarette smoking, the components of cigarette smoke, and their harmful effects. First, let's see the type of drugs of abuse. These are broadly categorized into four categories. CNS stimulant, as the name indicates, that it is stimulator of central nervous system. It makes a person alert and focused. It includes the examples of cocaine and amphetamines. They are mostly given for treatment of depression, fatigue, hunger, tiredness in patients who are on diet. CNS depressant, on the other hand, as the name indicates, depresses the central nervous system. These includes barbiturates, which are prescribed for the treatment of insomnia and epilepsy. Insomnia is sleeplessness, and epilepsy is the disease where the person experiences frequent fits or convulsions. Then is hallucinogen drugs. These are the drugs which cause illusions, hallucinations and distorted images. This include LSD and marijuana, which is also known as cannabis. Then we have opiates. These are the narcotic drugs that relieve pain, induce sleep and stupor. Stupor means unconsciousness state. These opiates include morphine and heroin. In your syllabus, we just have to focus on heroin. The common side effects are two, which would be given in all the side effects of drugs of abuse. You can write these common points. This is of tolerance and addiction. Tolerance means a condition where a person has to keep on taking more and more of drug to achieve the same effect. This was discussed in previous lecture as well. Then we have addiction or dependence, both physical and psychological. This will be indicated when the person experiences withdrawal symptoms if he does not take the drug. Means there are some symptoms which would be observed in a patient that would indicate the addiction or dependence of a certain drug by that person. Now we have heroin, into which we have to go through the detail of it. Heroin, like morphine, is obtained from opium poppies. I have given you the picture of the plant from where it is obtained. It is a very powerful CNS depressant. It means that it slows down the activity of the brain. Unlike morphine, which is used as painkiller in many conditions, like in myocardial failure, in heart attack, sometimes morphine is injected to relieve the pain. Similarly, in cancer pain as well, morphine is prescribed to patients who are in the last stage of their cancers, where the pain becomes very severe. But unlike morphine, which is being prescribed, heroin is never prescribed because of its extensive addiction. The person given heroin for the first time would get very addicted to it. Hence, it is not given as a painkiller. This is the summary of what heroin does to the body. Short-term effects includes dullness of senses. Since it is a CNS depressant, it will slow down the activity of the brain. Long-term effect would cause addiction. Feeling of well-being, euphoria. Euphoria is absolute happiness with no worries. These are the very reason for which heroin is sometimes used. Larger and frequent doses would lead to the effect previously explained as tolerance. It also reduces hunger and tension and makes the user sleepy. Other complication includes the transmission of HIV virus. If you know about this virus, it's a causative agent of AIDS. So sometimes it happens that the heroin addicts share the needles. So unsterile needles are a source of HIV transmission from infected to uninfected person. So this is kind of a side effect of heroin, that in addition to heroin addiction, the person who's sharing the unsterile needles are at risk of getting the HIV virus as well. Social implication, as the person may not be able to keep a job, there would be dependence and conflict or violence. Need for money would lead to higher crime rates. These social implications are almost the same as we discussed previously in the case of alcohol. Withdrawal symptoms include anxiety, vomiting, convulsions, sweating, diarrhea, hallucinations, goose pimples, and even death. Now we have to read about cigarette smoking. You all are aware of the fact that in our society, cigarette smoking is quite common and considered normal. It is started by mostly young people because of just curiosity or peer pressure. Peer pressure means, for let's just say you are in a group of people who are smokers, and just to fit into that group you need to be like them, you need to show that you are just like them, you start to smoke. This is peer pressure. When you are kind of pressurized to fit into a certain group, you start smoking for that. The reason of starting smoking are one of these. Then the influence or imitation of family members or parents who are smoking. The child would see that if the parent are doing so, he or she can do that too. Then sometimes it is also regarded as symbol of status, wealth, and success. So people start smoking because of these images that our society has created. But keep in mind that tobacco is made from the leaves of tobacco plants and contain about 4,000 chemicals. Increased risk of cancer is seen in people who are smokers, especially the cancer of lungs, throat, pancreas, colon. Passive smoking is as dangerous or harmful as the active smoking. Withdrawal symptoms of smoking cigarettes include cravings, insomnia, which is sleeplessness, numbness in limbs, both arms and legs, inability to concentrate. This is the summary of the components of these tobacco smoke. First one is nicotine. It is addictive. So the addictive part of the cigarette smoke is the component nicotine. It also stimulates brain activity, makes the smoker feel alert, and relaxes muscle. Later, it dulls the brain and senses. It also causes the release of adrenaline, which is a hormone released from adrenal gland. It causes increase in heartbeat and blood pressure, puts unnecessary strain on the heart. It also leads to an increase in stickiness of the platelets, which increases the chance of blood clotting and hence of heart attack and stroke. If you remember that platelets were one of the clotting factors of blood. So if they get too sticky, they would increase the chance of blood clotting. And if that blood clot is in the coronary artery, it would lead to heart attack. And if it is in any blood vessel in the brain, it would lead to stroke. Then is carbon monoxide. It reduces the efficiency of oxygen transport by RBCs as it binds irreversibly with hemoglobin. Increases the rate at which the fatty substances deposit on wall of arteries, making the lumen narrower, and damages the lining of blood vessels, increasing the chances of blood clotting. So we know that hemoglobin usually attaches with oxygen to become oxyhemoglobin and transport oxygen to different tissues and cells of our body. But if carbon monoxide is present, hemoglobin would attach to carbon monoxide, not oxygen, because the attractive force or affinity of hemoglobin for carbon monoxide is greater than compared to oxygen. So when hemoglobin attaches with carbon monoxide, it is irreversible binding, which would ultimately reduce the transportation of oxygen. Heart would start to make extra effort to pump the blood so that more oxygen can be transported to the tissues and the cells. Carbon monoxide also causes additional fatty substances to be deposited on the walls of arteries. Arteries' lumen or diameter would get narrower, so the flow of blood would get less, which would increase the chances of damage to walls of the blood vessels. Whenever the blood vessel gets damaged, you know that thrombokinase enzyme is released, which starts to clot the blood. Tar is very dangerous component in cigarette smoke as it is carcinogenic. Carcinogenic means it causes cancer, which is abnormal division of cells of air sacs, which are alveoli, resulting in inefficient exchange of gases at alveolar level. It also paralyzes the cilia lining the air passages, preventing it from removing the dust. So when the dust or irritant particles are not removed, particles will gain entry into the lungs and will cause irritation to the air passages. I hope you remember the alveoli in your chapter of respiration. You know that alveoli is the basic unit where the exchange of gases takes place. If you don't remember, look at here. The trachea and bronchi contains goblet cells. These goblet cells contain hair-like structure called cilia. These cilia have beating movements. They sweep away the excessive mucus and also remove dust or irritant particles. So what happens is that the tar gets deposited on these cilia lining and make them paralyzed. They do not let them work. The sweeping or beating movement of these cilia is finished or stopped. In their absence, what would happen that the excessive mucus will keep on accumulating here. The air passage would get narrower. The air lining or the air surfaces where the exchange of gases had to take place would get lesser and lesser, leading to different lung diseases, which we will discuss in our next lesson.